Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Native Speakers Channel. I'm Sarah, and I'm so excited to have you here with us today. Whether you're a new listener or you've been with us for a while, thank you so much for joining us. We've got a really practical and fun topic to discuss today that I think everyone can relate to.
Hey there, everyone. I'm Johnny. And yes, we're diving into something that affects all of us at some point in our lives. Today's topic is stop making these vacation mistakes. We're going to talk about the most common mistakes people make when they're planning and taking vacations, and more importantly, how you can avoid them. Trust me, Sarah and I have made plenty of these mistakes ourselves.
Oh, absolutely. I've learned so many lessons the hard way. You know, Johnny, I think the first big mistake people make is not planning ahead enough. What do you think?
I completely agree, Sarah. That's probably the number one mistake right there. I remember this one time I decided to take a spontaneous trip to Barcelona. I thought, oh, I'll just book a flight and figure everything else out when I get there. Well, let me tell you, that was a disaster waiting to happen.
Oh no, what happened?
Well, first of all, I arrived in Barcelona during a huge festival that I didn't know about. Every single hotel was completely booked. I mean, everything. I ended up spending my first night sleeping in the airport because I couldn't find anywhere to stay. It was so uncomfortable, and I was exhausted the next day.
That sounds terrible. You know, I had a similar experience in Paris. I didn't book my accommodation in advance because I wanted to be flexible. But when I got there, the only places available were either way too expensive or in really inconvenient locations far from the city center. I ended up paying almost double what I would have paid if I had just booked a few weeks earlier.
Exactly. And it's not just about hotels. The same thing applies to attractions and restaurants. If you want to visit popular places like the Eiffel Tower, the Colosseum, or famous museums, you really need to book your tickets in advance. Otherwise, you might stand in line for hours or not get in at all.
That's so true. I think a good rule of thumb is to start planning at least 2 to 3 months before your trip. Book your flights early to get better prices, reserve your accommodation, and research the main attractions you want to visit. It takes away so much stress when you arrive at your destination.
Definitely. Now, let's talk about another huge mistake that I see people make all the time. Not researching your destination properly. This is a big one, Sarah.
Oh, yes. I learned this lesson in Japan. I went to Tokyo without really understanding the culture or the basic customs. I didn't know that it's considered rude to eat while walking in many areas, or that you should take off your shoes in certain places. I accidentally offended some people because I just didn't know better.
That's a really good example of why research is so important. Every country and culture has different customs, traditions, and social norms. If you don't take the time to learn about them before you go, you might find yourself in awkward or even disrespectful situations without meaning to.
Exactly. And it's not just about customs. You should also research practical things like the local transportation system, the currency and exchange rates, the typical weather during your visit, and any safety concerns in the area.
Don't forget about visa requirements. That's another aspect of research that people sometimes overlook. I have a friend who showed up at the airport, ready to fly to Brazil, only to discover at check-in that he needed a visa that takes weeks to process. He had to cancel his entire trip and lost a lot of money.
Oh no, that's such a nightmare. Yes, always check visa requirements well in advance. Some countries allow you to get a visa on arrival, some require advance application, and some don't require a visa at all depending on your nationality. You need to know which category your destination falls into.
Absolutely. Now, here's another mistake that I see people make all the time. Not having travel insurance. What's your take on this one, Sarah?
Oh, this is so important. A lot of people think travel insurance is just an unnecessary expense, but it can literally save you thousands of dollars if something goes wrong. I learned this lesson when I got really sick during a trip to Thailand.
What happened?
I ate something that didn't agree with me, and I ended up with severe food poisoning. I had to go to the hospital, and the medical bills were incredibly expensive. Fortunately, I had travel insurance, and they covered everything. If I hadn't had insurance, I would have had to pay over $3,000 out of pocket.
Wow, that's a lot of money. And medical emergencies aren't the only reason to have travel insurance. It can also cover you if your flight gets canceled, if your luggage gets lost, or if you have to cancel your trip due to an emergency at home.
Exactly. It's really not that expensive either. For most trips, you can get decent travel insurance for maybe $30 to $50 or so. When you think about how much you're already spending on your vacation, that's a very small additional cost for a lot of peace of mind.
I completely agree. It's one of those things where you hope you'll never need it, but you're so glad you have it if something does go wrong. Okay, let's talk about another mistake, not budgeting properly for your trip.
Oh, yes. This is such a common problem. People budget for the big things like flights and hotels, but they forget about all the other expenses. Things like food, transportation, entrance fees to attractions, souvenirs, and unexpected costs can really add up.
Absolutely. I remember my first trip to New York City. I had budgeted for my flight and hotel, and I thought I'd be fine with just a few $100s for everything else. But I didn't realize how expensive everything in New York is. A simple lunch could easily cost $20 or $25, and taxi rides were way more than I expected.
New York is definitely an expensive city. I think the key is to research the cost of living in your destination before you go. Look up average prices for meals, transportation, and activities. Then add about 20 to 30% extra as a buffer for unexpected expenses.
That's great advice. Another budgeting tip is to look for free or low-cost activities at your destination. Most cities have free walking tours, free museums on certain days, or beautiful parks and neighborhoods you can explore without spending any money.
Definitely. And don't forget to tell your bank that you're traveling. This is another mistake people make. If you don't notify your bank, they might see charges from a foreign country and think your card has been stolen. They could freeze your account, and then you're stuck without access to your money in a foreign country.
Oh, that's such a good point. I've had that happen to me before. I was in Italy trying to pay for dinner, and my card kept getting declined. I was so embarrassed. I had to call my bank from the restaurant, and they explained that they had frozen my account because they saw suspicious activity from Italy. After that, I always remember to notify them before I travel.
Yes, most banks make it really easy now. You can usually just log into your online banking or call them and tell them your travel dates and destinations. It takes just a few minutes and can save you a lot of hassle.
Now, here's a mistake that drives me crazy: trying to see and do everything in a short amount of time. Some people try to cram way too many activities into their vacation, and they end up exhausted and stressed instead of relaxed and happy.
Oh, I'm so guilty of this. On my first trip to Europe, I tried to visit 5 countries in 10 days. I was constantly rushing from one place to another, spending more time in trains and airports than actually enjoying the places I was visiting. By the end of the trip, I was so tired that I couldn't even enjoy the last few days.
Yeah, that's called vacation burnout, and it's so counterproductive. The whole point of a vacation is to relax and enjoy yourself, not to run around like crazy trying to check things off a list. Quality is better than quantity when it comes to travel.
I agree completely. Now I prefer to visit fewer places but spend more time in each one. That way, I can really get to know the place, talk to locals, discover hidden gems, and have a more authentic experience.
Absolutely. And it's okay to have downtime during your vacation. You don't need to schedule every single hour of every single day. Sometimes the best vacation memories come from unplanned moments, like stumbling upon a cute cafe or having a spontaneous conversation with a local.
That's so true. Some of my favorite travel memories are from those unexpected moments. Okay, here's another mistake. Not learning any of the local language. Even if you're going to a country where many people speak English, it's so helpful and respectful to learn at least a few basic phrases.
I couldn't agree more, Sarah. Learning simple phrases like hello, thank you, please, excuse me, and I don't understand can make such a difference in how locals interact with you. It shows respect for their culture and usually makes people more willing to help you.
Yes, and honestly, it's not that hard. There are so many language learning apps now that you can use before and during your trip. Even just spending 15 minutes a day for a few weeks before your trip can give you enough basic phrases to get by.
And don't be afraid to make mistakes. Most people appreciate when you try to speak their language, even if you're not very good at it. They'll usually be patient and helpful, and it can lead to some funny and memorable moments.
Definitely. Okay, let's talk about another common mistake: not making copies of important documents. This is so important, but many people forget to do it.
Yes, you should always have copies of your passport, your travel insurance information, your hotel reservations, and any important confirmation numbers. If something gets lost or stolen, having copies can be a lifesaver.
I recommend keeping digital copies on your phone or email, and also keeping physical copies separate from the originals. For example, keep your passport copy in a different bag than your actual passport. That way, if one gets stolen, you still have the other.
That's excellent advice. It's also a good idea to email copies to yourself or store them in a secure cloud service so you can access them from anywhere if needed.
Absolutely. Now, here's a mistake that can really ruin a trip: not being flexible. Sometimes things don't go according to plan, and you need to be able to adapt.
So true. Weather can change, attractions might be closed, you might get sick, or you might discover something unexpected that you want to do instead. If you're too rigid with your plans, you'll just get frustrated when things don't work out exactly as you imagined.
I think the best approach is to have a general plan, but be open to changes. Know the main things you definitely want to do, but don't schedule every minute. Leave room for spontaneity and changes.
Great advice. Okay, here's our final mistake: not taking care of your health while traveling. People often neglect their health on vacation, whether it's eating too much unhealthy food, not getting enough sleep, or not staying hydrated.
Oh yes, this is so important. I know vacation is a time to indulge a little, and that's totally fine. But you still need to take care of yourself. Drink plenty of water, especially if you're in a hot climate or doing a lot of walking. Get enough sleep so you have energy to enjoy your days, and try to balance those indulgent meals with some healthier options.
Absolutely. Also, bring a small first aid kit with basic medications like pain relievers, antacids, and any prescription medications you take regularly. You don't want to be searching for a pharmacy in a foreign country when you have a headache or an upset stomach.
Great point. And don't forget about sunscreen if you're going somewhere sunny. Sunburn can really ruin a vacation.
So true. Well, Sarah, I think we've covered a lot of common vacation mistakes today. Should we do a quick recap?
Yes, let's do that. So the main mistakes to avoid are not planning ahead, overpacking, not researching your destination, skipping travel insurance, not budgeting properly, forgetting to notify your bank, trying to do too much, not learning basic local phrases, not making copies of important documents, being too flexible, and not taking care of your health.
Perfect summary. If you can avoid these mistakes, your vacation will be so much more enjoyable and stress-free. Remember, the goal of a vacation is to relax, have fun, and create great memories.
Exactly. And remember, everyone makes mistakes when they travel. The important thing is to learn from them and do better next time. each trip teaches you something new.
Well said, Sarah. Thank you all so much for listening to today's episode. We hope you found these tips helpful for planning your next vacation.
Yes, thank you for being here with us on Native Speakers Channel. If you enjoyed this conversation, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. We have lots more easy English conversations coming up on all sorts of interesting topics.
And if you have vacation disaster stories or tips of your own, please share them in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Safe travels, everyone.
Happy travels! See you in the next episode. Bye!
Bye, everyone.